where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sam Doby hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski goes, dives on the right side. Very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Oh, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
With just 2 races left to go, the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship heads back to the United States to close out the season. Howdy and welcome to the Circuit of the Americas for round 11 of the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship, live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Richie Hearn. Behind the scenes, we have our director, Amjad Yamin, and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Richie, retro cars, but definitely not a retro track here in Austin.
No, and thank you, Sam. Yeah, here we are at the Circuit of Americas, located in Austin, Texas. The track's fairly new to the racing world, built in 2012, especially compared to some of the other tracks we go to. It's a very difficult track. Some people love it, some people don't. It has a weird flow to it, but it definitely has a lot of challenging turns. It's 3.4 miles long. Number of turns are 20, so it's a lot going on. And, you know, we got the famous uphill section into turn 1, which is very unique, and then leads into basically kind of a copy of Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone. And then we also have turns 16 through 18, which is a very long sweeping area. It's kind of modeled after what we saw at the Turkish Grand Prix. But the best way to get a little view of this is let's jump on that GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juhan Orlapi and the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Circuit of the Americas. Turn 1 is one of the most unique corners on the track with this climb. It makes for a short braking zone despite the tight hairpin. The tough part is getting the car to turn in and then accurately hitting this tight blind apex. Coming off of there, you'll switch sides to swing it into 2, which will lead into the S's. All the way from turn 3 to 9, you'll be working the wheel trying to keep the rhythm of the track. Definitely watch out for the pyramids at these apexes though. Hit them too hard and you can unsettle the car. Actually clatter straight over them and you'll destroy the floor. Like most sets of S's, the key through here is setting yourself up for the next corner rather than getting a run off the current one. Expect certain drivers to gain or lose lots of time in the first half of the lap. Once you climb over 9, you'll swing it through 10 and then hold the car off to the right for 11. This is a popular spot for overtakes into this hairpin, but the downside to passes here is it leads onto the long back stretch, and passing potentially leaves you open to an over-under move. Or sometimes your opponent can just get into your draft and slingshot their way past. As you can see by the incredible length of this stretch, the slipstream is most definitely going to become a factor. At the very least, most times you can take a moment to relax along this part. Thankfully, even if the pass in 11 went wrong, you can get another go into 12. I'd say this is the smarter place to try to overtake. It takes us into the very technical final third of the lap, and so opportunities for someone to get you back are slim. This stadium section in particular is essentially a set of back-to-back hairpins. The car doesn't get wound up enough to set up a pass. To me, it's one of the most frustrating and patience-testing sections of the track. Then, as you come out of here, you hit the triple apexer. A bit of balancing the throttle in the middle is all it takes, and the rest should be flat out before you're quickly swinging it off to the right. The penultimate corner is going to be difficult to nail with its blind off-camber apex. The paved runoff will help save you, but there's not much time before the final corner. Getting your exit right off of here is going to be critical since it takes us onto the final stretch. With all the paved areas of off-track, there's still lots of places to get it wrong here, but if you manage to get it right, you've now finished lap around Circuit of the Americas.
22 times you're going to see these drivers do that tonight, a 22-lap race. And let's give you an idea of what drivers we're going to see out there tackling this circuit down in Austin, Texas. Well, we got Gernot Frisch at the top of the point standings. He showed up today. There you see, even with 140 points, basically pocket points there, he still holds a handy points lead over Antti Lepisto with just 2 rounds left to go. And Antti Lepisto likewise is here tonight, and he has likewise a huge points lead over Pablo Lombardo Suarez, who has moved up into 3rd position in the points, just 5 markers ahead of John Stevens. And James Rawson is back there in 5th position, not too far back. However, Rawson is the only driver you see on that page who is not here tonight. We've got several big names out there tonight. Well, things are spread out a little bit in the driver standings. They're kind of close in the team standings still. However, a bit further apart than what they were. Ligier, after a solid performance last round by Antti Lepisto and Pablo Suarez, now holds a 20-point lead over Ferrari with Gernot Frisch and Steve Salis. McLaren, Team ATS and Ram Racing rounding out the top 5 there, although you can see only 7 markers separating the 2 teams battling for 3rd.
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, the Drivers' Championship has been kind of blown open for a little while with the success that Gernot's had, but that team championship is definitely pretty tight with a couple races left. You know, last week, Ligier having a decent points haul with the success of Lepisto out there, and then Gernot not being in the event. So, you know, that's something to watch with only 2 races to go.
And the great news for drivers, for fans of this team championship that we've been watching unfold over the past several rounds, is that both the Ligier drivers and both Scuderia Ferrari drivers are here today. Gernot Frisch and Steve Salis for Ferrari, and as you just mentioned, Richie, Lepisto and Suarez for Ligier. So it will be fun seeing how that battle unfolds, as well as many other battles throughout this 23-car field. And let's take a look at our race details here, Richie, what these drivers are going to have to face on the track.
Yeah, we got, like you said, we have 22 laps, or round 11 or out of 12. We have 4 drops for the drivers, 2 drops for the team, so that's still going to come into play near the end. No stops for fuel, no stops for tires, so no pit stops required. But the setups are open, so you can do whatever you want to these things. We have our 17 incident points. Anything more than that is disqualification. And we're always using that official iRacing points here.
Now, of course, one thing that a lot of drivers aren't a huge fan of here at COTA, Richie, I mean, I'll start straight off the bat by saying I'm a huge fan of this track. Maybe not necessarily the flow of it, but the fact that the United States now has, over the past few years, has had a first-class, top-of-the-art motor racing facility that can accommodate Formula One, sports car, MotoGP racing, whatever. One thing that these drivers particularly don't seem to like about it, though, is the excessive runoff area here and how much you can abuse it on iRacing. But each time you do that, you get 1x, you get 1 incident point. So that 17 incident point cap that you just mentioned, that could come into play tonight if you're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. And just driving this track on my own, it has been tough to be able to keep the car, without getting those 1Xs. And it's very sensitive. There's plenty of places where, you can gain some time by going a little bit over the curb, and then boom, you get that 1X. And they add up fast. So 17 is not a lot for a 22-lap race here.
Qualifying is currently what you are watching on screen. We are in the final minute of it now. Gernot Frisch currently sits on provisional pole by 0.3 of a second over Antti Lepisto. Each of the cars has the track to themselves for an 8-minute session. They get the turn in 2 qualifying laps all at the same time without being impeded by others. And 20 cars have done that so far. Still waiting to see if Russell Hamilton Francois Gagne and Daniel Banker will get out there and turn in the lap time. Well, here comes Banker actually across the line right now. And not going to count, so he must have been off course.
Yeah, that's the other thing that comes into play for qualifying is that just 1X deletes that time, and then it takes a long time to get all the way back around.
And Francois Gagne is still on the track, but it doesn't matter because time is up. So let's read out your grid. It starts with Gernot Frisch ahead of Antti Lepisto. QC Clapp, he had a solid performance at the Nürburgring not too long ago, which we didn't really get to catch. Hopefully he'll have another solid performance here tonight. Starting ahead of Adam Fraser here in 4th position. Mark Pickford and Pablo Lumbrera Suarez on row number 3 ahead of John Stevens and Michael De Jong. Barry West and Jean-Francois Matt round out the top 10.
Yeah, that's a good start for Barry West there as we bring up the rest of the grid here. Coming up for row 6.
Yeah, taking a look at this row number 6 right now. David Roth ahead of Stefan Beluca. Charles-Eric Lemelin will be starting in 13th, ahead of a second Ferrari driver of Steve Salas back in 14th. Robert Sipkin starts 15th place ahead of the number 8 car, Glenn Corrigan. Kurt Burnett and Johnny Bell will round out the 9th row ahead of Sandro Picardi and Andrew Rosenfield. Those are the 20 cars that turned the time. 3 cars did not. Daniel Banker and Francois Gagne, although we saw them both on track trying to turn in a lap time. Russell Hamilton in the number 23 car looks like just selecting to start from the 23rd position. Alright, so the car's getting gridded up here, and in just about 30 seconds at the most, the lights will come up and go off and lead up the long climb uphill up into turn number 1. Can get quite chaotic, especially with 23 cars getting set here on the grid. Hopefully they'll all get through it cleanly. And there you see the team championship we've been talking about the past few rounds. Ferrari versus Ligier there on the front row. Gernot Frisch on the inside. Antti Lepisto on the outside in the blue Ligier. The lights are off and away they go, and it's a nice restart by both drivers in the front row. Lepisto is going to be on the outside in turn number 1. He's going to go deep onto the brakes, try and make a move, stick on the outside, and there's chaos, or at least congestion behind them. It looks like they all got through without too much contact though. So we go back up. Oh, and contact! And that's Pickford we see off course right now. But Lepisto has held off a challenge, well, taken the challenge rather, to Frisch on the opening lap, taken the lead. QC Clapp is in 3rd, Fraser's in 4th. Michael De Jong has had a rocketing start. He started 8th, he's already up into 5th position on this opening lap as they work their way out of the S's. And now, though, comes probably one of the best passing opportunities on the whole track as they roll out of a hairpin here. They do this long run down the back straight, and if you're running with a little bit less downforce than the car in front of you and you can get a slightly better jump out of a turn, you may be able to make another move. However, that's not going to be the case with Frisch. He's just a little too far back of Lepisto, but they're all getting checked up behind Lepisto there, the top 4. Maybe that's a sign that Lepisto is running with a bit higher downforce settings on his Ligier. But whatever the case, he remains in 1st position as they work their way around these last few turns, coming around to complete lap number 1 of 22. Only seeing 1 car in the pits from damage on this opening lap. That's Mark Pickford in the 5. We'll catch the replay of that.
Yeah, there they go right through that section we were talking about, where they go through that long corner. We'll get a replay here of that incident. Coming up that long straightaway to that tight corner at the top of the hill. And unfortunately, it just kind of bottlenecks for everybody and not a lot of room there.
And Lepisto has officially retired from the race. No free repairs. Now we'll ride on board Suarez, get another view of this incident. pretty significant contact on Suarez there too. He was lucky that didn't damage his car too much.
Yeah, absolutely. He just kind of drive right around the inside of him.
Oh, contact now between John Stevens and Barry West. Not the first time we've seen that between these two this year.
Yeah, they definitely have been racing together quite a bit this season. And I don't think there's any love lost between those two. So, oh, he just trying to drove right into the inside of him and didn't give him any room on the outside. And, you know, he's able to keep going, but kind of wonder what kind of damage he has on his car at the moment.
Well, this Lotus 79 can put up a bit of a beating, but that looked like pretty significant contact there, so we'll wait and see. Meanwhile, the top two are still fairly nose to tail. Lepisto just ahead of Frege. They're starting to break away a little bit from the battle for third between Clapp and Fraser. So David Roth currently riding in 7th place. He's got a bit of a train of cars behind him in the number 15 machine, up several positions from where he started. He started 11th. There you see Barry West recovering from his incident with John Stevens running right behind him. Behind them, Charles-Eric Lemelin, Jean-Francois Matte, Stephen Beluca, and more cars. And 2 laps down, 20 left to go here at COTA as the driver's finally starting to come down, although I say that there's contact. Up at the top of the hill, the lap car of Daniel Banker got into Michael DeJong running 5th.
Yeah, there's just all sorts of carnage going on here at the moment. And once again, this track kind of lets you be a little bit aggressive in some of these corners and maybe a little too aggressive if we're only 3 laps into this race.
A Banker came right out of the pits and had to go right back into it from a tow for the damage from this contact.
Coming up to that blind corner, and looks like he just got ran into right on the inside there.
Yeah, it's something that the commentators in Formula 1 have pointed out in the past, that turn 1 looks so inviting to make a pass because you have such a wide racetrack, and then you get to the top of a hill and you realize, oh, it's not that wide anymore.
Well, it really tightens up. It really comes back around on you. So you come in and it's really wide and invites you, like you said, going in, and all of a sudden, whoop, there goes the corner even tighter to the left. And if someone's on the outside, they don't see you. Your spotter's not going to be that quick on that. And, you know, we get a lot of incidents there in some of these events.
So we ride on board Pablo Suarez in 6th place for Ligier, and of course Santi Lepisto, his teammate, leading the race. So things looking good for them right now. As far as Ferrari goes, Gernot Frisch is in 2nd. I wanted to check back on Steve Sarnes to see if any of the midfield carnage had allowed him to move up positions. But unfortunately for him and Ferrari, that has not been the case. He's still riding in 13th, even after starting 14th.
Yeah, it's an impressive run by Andy Lepisto at the moment. He's been fast this season, but he's had some bad luck, and maybe last week's win has given him a little bit of confidence to just not making those little mistakes. And you know, he's given Gurno everything he can take right now, and this is coming down to that team championship. This is between these two teams right here, Ligier and Ferrari. So this is going to be a good battle all the way through this race.
Speaking of good battles, we can definitely tell that one is shaping up here up front. And one on track right there. Is that Stevens again? That's the Young car, looks very similar.
Bring up that replay for you guys. And just looks like just not a lot of give and take early on. These guys are running pretty aggressive, and everybody wants that apex. But if somebody's there, you can't take it.
So that will move Pablo Lombrera Suarez up into 5th position. So even more points here for Ligier. The bad news for Suarez is he is 5 seconds behind Adam Frazier, holding down a solid 4th position in the number 10 car.
Yeah, so seeing at the battles we got up front, we have Anna Pisto and Gurno Frisch. They're only about a half second apart there, but they've split themselves off from a QC Clap there. He's 5 seconds, so a good run from him so far. And Adam Frazier and Suarez running in that familiar, basically top 5. Survived a little bit of incident there. And, you know, we still have a long ways to go. We're only lap 5, so they're quite long laps here and a lot of turns, 20 turns like we talked about. And so I think we're going to see a lot more action as we go through this through this event.
And they'll have even more twists and turns next race up at Road Atlanta next week will serve as our season finale. They'll do that track 33 laps, and if you've ever done a race around Road Atlanta on iRacing, you know you feel exhausted after 1 lap around that little circuit. Meanwhile, I'm also keeping half an eye on the battle for 7th place, and we've got a few 2-car tandems essentially going on around here right now, and here we've called it on screen. David Roth, who has been going the right way early on, he started 11th and is up to 7th. Barry West, who also is ahead of where he started. He started 9th and is up to 8th, but we know he could be doing a bit better had he not tangled with John Stevens early on, so he's trying to come back from that.
Yeah, I mean, but he is up 1 spot, but yeah, he did have that contact with John Stevens, but this is a good little battle on track. And like you said, David Rolfe moving the right direction from starting 11th up to 7th. And we'll kind of see how that's gone. And if we go back a little bit, Stefan Baluka and John Stevens and Jean-Francois Mate are all battling it out for that 10th spot pretty tightly. And John's trying to make his way back up to that 7th spot before that early contact.
Yeah, John Stevens definitely having a bit of work cut out for him here. I also recall at Motegi he had a bit of difficulty trying to come back through the field. He was a bit late on the brakes and the cars he was trying to pass, and that led to a little bit of argy-bargy. But overall, Richie, he's had a solid season. You know, he's just every now and then he's slipped up a little bit, but he's definitely been a star of many of the races we've seen. Not afraid to race other drivers pretty hard. And talking about racing other drivers pretty hard, there goes Barry West up into 7th.
Yeah, that was a good move for him. And now he's got clear track in front, so we'll see if he has enough speed to catch up to the next car. So here we are coming up to turn 1. This is probably the best place to make a move. You just, as we've seen, we've had some instances in the past, you got to just make sure you get it done when that guy does see you. There is a chance for the undercut here, but Barry does a good job of just not over-braking himself and continues on.
It is amazing. The top 8 is pretty much 4 different sets of 2-car tandems going on right now. Antti Lepisto ahead of Gurno Frisch at the top of it all. QC Clapp and Adam Frazier for 3rd and 4th. Suarez and Dijon. Dijon has caught him back down after their contact for 5th place. And then the one we just saw switch around for 7th between Barry West and David Rose.
Yeah, we've seen that quite a bit here, but we go back to P9 here, and this is a 4-car battle. So we'll just multiply that by 2. Yeah, there we go. These guys are nose to tail here coming over to that 16th, 17th, 18th complex. And, you know, it is tough to pass here because you get those 1Xs really quick, so you got to make sure you stay on the track. And, you know, Jean-Francois is doing a good job holding off this group. But Charles-Eric Lemelin's looking pretty hungry to try to get that 9th spot for him.
Yeah, Charles-Eric Lemelin has been one of our bigger movers here in the opening stages. He started 13th, he's up to 10th place, so plus 3 positions from where he qualified.
Yeah, and he's hanging in there. I think the tire wear might come into a little bit of play. Although the track temp's pretty low here today, so maybe not. But as they burn that fuel off, the cars will get a little faster, a little faster. So we'll see who's carrying what kind of wing. You know, once again, these setups are open, so this track can go either way. You can carry a heavy amount of wing to be fast through the corners, like through those S's and things like that. But you're going to lose some speed down that long straightaway, or you can go the other way. And so we'll see how that comes into to play with some of these guys.
Still the early stages here at Circuit of the Americas. You mentioned, Richie, feels like one of our longer events here as they work lap number 7 of 22. Still 20 cars in the race on the lead lap, and this pack we're seeing here is definitely one of the stronger ones out there right now, with Stephen Beluca taking 10th place from Charles-Eric Lemelin. Now, these next two hairpin turns, this right-hander here and then the next left-hander, are always places where you could attempt a bit of an ambitious pass down the inside, try and force the driver in front of you off of the natural racing line. However, these three hold station this time around. And I really feel that John Stevens needs to start getting to work on passing a couple of these drivers soon, because he out-qualified these drivers. I don't think his car's too badly damaged. He'll start wanting some of these positions back.
Yeah, and I've been watching him a little bit. He's been kind of sliding the car around a lot and maybe overdriving it, a little frustrated. But yeah, he qualified 7th. So he's definitely got the speed to be in front of these guys. But they're battling hard, and maybe he's trying to take it just a little bit easy and pick up the pieces in case these guys do wreck into each other. But Stefan Beluca is doing a good job. Made that pass on Lemelin. He did a couple of really good defensive moves through some of those sections you were talking about, and now he's just setting his sights up to the driver in front of him, which I believe is his teammate.
Checking back up front where Antti Lepisto continues to hold the lead over Gurno Fish. You mentioned the weather just a little while ago, Richie. It is very cool out there. Obviously, these tyres have had time to get up to temperature now. However, what's quite significant is a very strong easterly wind.
Yeah, it's pretty high for what we normally see on the service there, so that could affect them a little bit. It just depends on which way it's blowing. But the track temp is definitely low. It's a little bit lower than I'm assuming it is there in real life. So that's not going to be an issue with the tires. Watching this battle with De Jong and Suarez. Suarez in his familiar position of always having to defend for the entirety of the race. But Zhang does have some damage to that rear wing, so I'm assuming that's going to affect him down the straightaways and trying to make any passing very difficult.
And you see Gurno Fish just reset the fastest lap of the race, less than the second back of Lepisto, which is pretty much where he's been all race long. 20 cars in the race, still on the lead lap. The only 3 we have lost are Russell Hamilton, Daniel Banker and Mark Pickford. As we mentioned, no free repairs in the series, so if a driver is involved in any calamities, and we saw a couple of those earlier on, bye-bye.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Gurno's just waiting here. He has a tendency, he's done this before, and we've seen it where he just kind of stays patient. And, I think he has he sets his car up a little bit for when the fuel burns off, and then that's when he starts cranking out those laps. And so this battle is definitely not over. Even though he's, 0.8 of a second behind Lepisto, I think he just set the fastest lap the last time around. So I think he's just kind of waiting here, not in a big rush to get into the front.
Yeah, the drivers racing for 3rd place, meanwhile, have broken apart a little bit. QC Clapp has pulled away from Adam Frazier. Although their lap times are quite similar now, it's just been a couple of tenths each lap, and gradually he's been able to build out a cushion over that number 10 car. Both of those two, though, are about 12, 13 seconds ahead of a battle for 5th. So really, they're kind of safe in 3rd and 4th positions right now. And the biggest risk they run with that regard, Richie, as we enter the middle of a very long race, is any kind of fatigue that they could run into, just getting complacent. and making mistakes there. Although granted, the walls are never too close around here, but still you don't want to go too far off course, you'll lose a lot of time.
No, you're exactly right. Sometimes when you're just kind of out in no man's land, even though you're running, you know, like third, like QC Clap is, it's more of a, your mind starts to wander, and that's when you make a mistake. And maybe, like here, maybe you don't hit anything, but you can go off, you know, lock up the tires, and you can lose a ton of time really quickly. So it is important to stay focused for all 20 laps. And I'm watching this, still watching this battle with De Jong and Suarez. Watching Suarez down the straightaway last time, he was kind of weaving around trying to break the draft, and then De Jong's definitely trying, because he did a full-on slide at the end of the straightaway. So this battle is not going to stop for any time soon, I don't think.
Yeah, and one nice thing for these drivers battling for positions at the front of the field is their battles aren't going to be interrupted by a lot of lap traffic during this race, and even if they are, it's not going to come until later on. I mean, it's taken these drivers approximately 2 minutes almost to do a lap around here, and even our drivers running at the tail of a lead lap, who, by the way,
almost surpassed for the lead there with Gurno. He's definitely closed up. I said it was 0.8 of a second last lap. It's now down to 3. So, you know, I think Gurno's turned on the jets here, and as we get close to half distance, he's putting the pressure on Lepisto, and he almost made a lunge there coming up to the final turn. And we'll see if he's right on his bumper, so or his rear wing there, and see if he can make a move going into turn 1.
Lap 10 completed. They'll be halfway at the completion of this lap, so maybe that's why Gurno is starting to get aggressive, and now you see him poking his nose out, trying to put Lepisto under a bit of pressure. However, Lepisto thinks nothing of it, gets a real nice corner through turn 1 and opens that lead back up. I was going to say, though, the lap cars, when and if the leaders do catch them, they're in battles of their own throughout the whole field. Even Francois Gagne and Andrew Rosenfeld are having a pretty neat battle for 19th position back there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's driving hard out there, so, I mean, you can't forget, even though they're running in the back, you know, they're all driving for every position they can get. But we definitely have some battles all around the track. First and second, fifth and sixth.
Ninth is side by side between Jean-Francois Matt, Stefan Beluca just took it from him.
Yeah, it's a second spot that Beluca's gotten in the last couple of laps, so good power, good on him. They've kind of left Eric Lemlin in the dust a little bit. That was a battle for a 4-car battle. Now it's 2. John Stevens still struggling to get back those positions he lost early on. He has not been able to move up since that mistake. So I don't know if he's got some damage or what, but he should be faster than these guys.
Very possible he could have damage. There was quite significant contact between himself and Barry West at the opening of the race. But the other thing we've got to remember is this circuit isn't the friendliest in the turns to aerodynamics, I guess you could say. You get quite a bit of aero drag in this car sometimes. It's hard to keep your car tucked up behind the car in front of you, and especially on some of the flat turns at the start of a lap and the end of a lap around here, your car can wash out if you don't take the right line.
Well, the corners they have here, you know, they're
Oh, that's Beluca off.
No, that's too bad. All that work he did is gone now, so his teammate has gotten back around him as we watch the replay here. And, you know, I just think he just made a mistake on his own.
Looks like he lit up the rear tires, something very easy to do in this car, Richie.
Absolutely, and yeah, you just no traction control, so you just get on the gas a little bit too hard, and it's got a lot of power, so you just got to be ready for it. But looks like he's lost a few positions there, so unfortunately, all that work's going to have to be redone.
Well, what this means for John Stevens is it breaks up that pack in front of him, so maybe he won't have to suffer as much from the aero wash now. He just has to worry about getting by the 13 of Charles-Eric Lemelin.
Yeah, he's been behind him for a while, and he's looking to get by him. So if he can just be a little patient through the section they're at, and then just try to get a good run down that back straightaway, you'll have an opportunity to pass him. And meanwhile, Gurno Frisch is still right all over the back of Anna Pisto. Nothing's changed, but he's definitely putting the heat on him. And same thing with the a little contact with De Jong and Suarez down the back straightaway. No reason for a replay, but Suarez is blocking really hard, and De Jong just ran right into the back of him as Suarez moved to the left down that straightaway. So he's getting a little bit frustrated, I believe.
Yeah, the back straight, particularly not a place where you want or expect contact, but as these drivers enter the closing half of this race, 10 laps to go when they come across the line, they might start being a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, well, Suarez every time, I've been watching this for a little while, so every time down the straightaway, he's weaving back and forth, and it's making his life difficult for De Jong. A couple of good battles, like I say, up front, De Jong and Suarez. Obviously, Stevens and Lemelin, Eric Lemelin are going well, going strong at it.
Even back as far as 16th, there's just been a change for position. Sandro Bicard. Oh, and he spins around. He got the position from Johnny Bell, and he just lost it again.
Yeah, he just cursed him there. Yeah, just a quick spin. Dump the clutch, and away we go. Just continue on.
Yeah, he lost another position because of it, though. Glenn Corrigan. I've got to imagine Glenn Corrigan is one of those drivers who has performed very well in another road series that's gained him a lot of iRating, because we've noticed in the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship, he has a very low number on these cars, a number 8, but this isn't the first time we've been a bit surprised to see him running a bit further back than what you expect someone with that number to be running with. So I wonder if this is just a new car for him, and you know, he just needs a few more races to get up to speed, and then we'll see him as a regular top 10 contender. So here's another battle on track.
There we go, John Stevens trying to make that move on Charles Eric Lemelin. He's got the inside, but the next corner is going to be Eric's corner, Eric Lemelin's corner. So John's trying to get back to those spots. He did start 7th, running 11th right now, but he's been stuck behind Charles for a long time.
And as these two scramble, that allows Stefan Beluca to run them both down a little bit. Soon we could have a three-way battle from 10th to 12th. And the biggest win out of all of us, by the way, has been Jean-Francois Matte, who has now been able to run away a bit in 9th position.
Yeah, he was in front of this group for a while, and then Stefan got around him, and then Stefan went off the track and gave that position back to Jean-Francois. So he's doing a good job. He's gapped Eric Lemelin by about 4 seconds, but you know, he's about 2.8 seconds behind David Rolfe, so he's kind of in no man's land at the moment.
And there goes Lemelin, and that's going to cost him more position. So now John Stevens is finally starting to pay off. He's been able to pressure the drivers in front of him into mistakes. He's now up to 10th place, but as we just mentioned, he's got a little bit of work to do to run down Jean-Francois Matte.
Yeah, just came up to the hill and just looks like he just got on the gas once again, a little too hard, a little half spin. Didn't hit anything, but did lose that position not only to John Stevens, but Beluca as well.
And the other driver who's got to be frustrated about all that is Steve Salas back there, still in 13th place, thinking, man, all the cars in front of me have been spinning off and I can't gain any positions for my Scuderia Ferrari team because they keep getting back on track before I can catch them.
Yeah, and that's important to notice because obviously Gurno and Steve are teammates, and you know, Gurno's in 2nd, Steve's in 13th, but their protagonists in the team championship are Angelo Pisto and Suarez, who are running 1st and 5th. So, you know, that team battle is pretty close. Only 2 races ago. And
yeah, speaking of pretty close, the leaders have caught lap traffic, and boy, Rosenfield not exactly the best place for them to catch him. Charles-Eric Lemelin has had another spin, and now he has lost a position to...
Yeah, leaders are all packed up right here. Gurno, oh, they're coming up to lap traffic.
Oh, very ambitious.
Into the hairpin, but Gurno's right on his tail. He's only 0.2 of a second. This might be the best chance he's had so far to try to make a move. Annie Lepisto got a good run off that corner, but Gurno's in the draft, so you can see him kind of sucking up on him right at the end, but not quite close enough to outbreak him yet.
Yeah, we'll just keep watching this battle. We'll put it out there that Charles-Eric Lemelin did have a spin from 12th. It dropped him back to 13th. So finally, Steve Sarles was able to get by a car, move up into 12th place. But this battle for the lead definitely heating up in the closing 7 laps. They've got about 10 seconds of fresh air before they catch the next lapped car battle, which is for 17th and 18th between Glenn Corrigan and Sandro Beccari.
8 laps to go here, so it is definitely heating up front as it's been the whole race. Michelle Zhang is closing back into up to Suarez after that contact they had a little while ago. Barry West doing a good job up to 7th spot. He's been doing a good job the last couple races. That's right about where he's run, about that 6th, 7th, 8th spot. So hopefully...
Beccari, the lap car is off, and fortunately Cesar Leaders coming by right there.
Yeah, it was a close call for Lepisto and Frisch. And this is something that they have to battle. They got to think about it. And really, this track, you can get held up pretty easily if you catch them in the wrong spot. So, you know, if you see that lap car up, you're going to try to see, try to time it so you can get by that guy just right at the correct moment. And hopefully the person behind you cannot.
Yes, it's all that got a little bit scary. I'm sure Lepisto and Frisch were saying, boy, I hope he has that 3 on. He doesn't back up out into the racing line right in front of us. And fortunately for them, Beccari knew exactly what he was doing and got back going again after the leaders had gone by. No harm, no foul, although Beccari lost a lot of time because of it. Still a few good battles as we enter the closing stages. Obviously the one for the lead on track. 10th place is still up for grabs between John Stevens and Stefan Beluca, and I'm sure there'll be many other battles before the checkered flag falls, because a lot of drivers can see their rivals, they're just not within striking range of them right now.
Yeah, I'm still watching this battle up front, and only 7 laps to go. It's definitely not over yet, and Annie Lepisto's done a great job. It's a lot of heat that he's been getting from Gurno, and you can see that Gurno keeps poking his nose out. They're coming up to another lap car here fairly quickly, and looks like they're going to catch them right as they go through the S's, so that's a tough place to catch a lap car.
Yeah, it would be Glenn Corrigan running in 18th position. You mentioned Lepisto's rough season, Richie. He led the first half of the race at VIR, but he was 5th when they crossed the line. He was running 2nd at Detroit, but he got into the back of a lapped car. At the start at Alton Park, he went right off before the race had really even begun. And also at the Nürburgring, when we were broadcasting his split over there, we saw him crash out of that race. But finally, he won at Suzuka last race out. And as we mentioned, are his demons behind him as they get by the lap car of Corrigan? Can he hold off Gurno Frisch and go back to back?
Yeah, that win last week might have given him some confidence to be able to finish these races out. And if he wouldn't had some of those mistakes, the Drivers' Championship might be a whole lot different coming into the end here. But he's definitely doing a good job. I know Gurno wants to win, so he's not just taking it easy on Lepisto, and he's gonna make a shot. He's gonna take a lunge at him, I think, at some point. He's just not gonna sit there behind him for the next 6 laps.
And if it all gets frantic on the final lap of a race, let's not forget that these drivers are normally very sportsmanlike with each other. They feel almost too sportsmanlike for my liking sometimes. if they feel that they ill-gained a position, even if it's on the final lap of a race for the win, as we see Gurno Frisch riding over the curbs there, they'll sometimes yield that top position back. And right now, with these two holding a 20-second lead over QC Clap, they've definitely got time to play around and to battle each other, and hopefully we'll end up with a fair finish, but also a good fight with no contact here at the end. Although Frisch is really starting to slide around.
Yeah, he's definitely trying hard. So like I say, he's not just cruising behind him. He's trying to get there. He's lost some time coming off the turn one. He's got to make it up. He definitely has a fast car. I mean, he's able to kind of close right back on him. And Lepisto's catching up to another lap car. And hopefully he sees him and gets out of the way. Kind of a tough spot. But looks like they're going to clear him before they get onto that back straightaway. Oh, boy.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. And there's your 1X right there added on to that limit. But let's let Frisch close right up on the back of Lepisto. So that was unfortunate for him at the moment.
Yeah, well, Johnny Bell was a lap car, and this is a great opportunity for Frisch because I have a feeling he's been running with less downforce all race long. Now he's finally got the run he needs. He's looking to the outside. Remember, though, in 2 turns, this becomes the inside. Can he handle that outside of a 2 car? No, he cannot. And it looks like Lepisto may have won the battle for now, but the war's not over.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Gurno was being a little bit nice, and if that was the last lap, he might have pinched him off maybe a little bit more into that braking zone. But he's definitely there. He's going to, like I said, I think he usually does run a little less wing than everybody else. He has admitted he likes that, and so that showed on that straightaway run we just had.
Well, the next lap car for these drivers is one of the drivers who I don't think we've mentioned at all today. Up 2 positions from where he started. Kurt Burnett in the number 19 machine is running 15th, so solid performance for him so far, but he's going to have the leaders on his rear wing very soon.
Yeah, and they're looking to catch him just as they did Johnny Bell. Just this section just doesn't stop. It's just back and forth. So if you get caught up in this section, it's a good opportunity for that second place car to maybe make a move.
Oh, John Stevens and Stefan Beluca almost side by side for 10th. Stevens overshot a turn. This is definitely the second best battle, I would say, on the track right now behind the leaders. Those two battling for that P10 position in the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, some of the battles we had early on are no longer there. De Jong and Suarez have separated away from each other. Francois Mate and John Stevens, obviously they were battling, but no longer. And Beluca is, caught up a little bit to Stevens after that little incident. Steve Sarlish running by himself. So the best battle is first and second.
Yeah, and they're getting very close at the end of the back straight.
Almost. It looked like he wasn't sure. Lepisto left the door open, and Gurno wasn't sure if he was going to, and he kind of hesitated. I think that was his opportunity to go ahead and make that pass. But, once again, like I say, they're very sporting drivers. Sometimes I think they're a little too nice. But that's what they like to do and have fun with it.
And Lepisto honestly caught a bit of a lucky break before that. He was able to use the draft of Kurt Burnett's lap car to kind of pull him down that back straight. If he hadn't had that advantage, I almost wonder if Gurno Frisch would have been done with him then and there. Just 3 laps left to go as they come across the start-finish line.
I still believe that Gurno has the stronger car here. He's just got to have that decisive moment to make a clean pass. And, he might get that chance again. He's still right up on his exhaust pipe through turn 1. And, we might see that move on the back straightaway. This time I think he'll probably take it. When the door's open, you got to take it.
Well, Gurno Frisch proved earlier this year at Alton Park in the battle with Moreira that he can definitely hold his own in the last lap battle for the win. That was some fantastic racing we saw there. Unfortunately, we haven't really seen whether the same can be said for Antti Lepisto this season, because a lot of the races he's been a top performer in, it just hasn't gone his way at the closing in the closing stages. What about today? There's just 2.5 laps left to go. Less than half a second separating them. Lepisto has a better run out of a hairpin this time by, so I think this lap he'll be safe, although Prix may still opt to stick his nose out. He's not going to do it this time around. But with just 2 laps left to go, Prix is going to be getting more and more aggressive, especially knowing that there's 25 seconds of air behind them. Richie, so what have they got to lose?
Yeah, he hasn't had any pressure from behind him since basically lap 2 onward. So his only focus is the back of Lepisto in that Ligier car. Once again, this is a battle for the team championship. Oh, and Lepisto makes a mistake. And he goes off in that turn 16, 17 area, gets a little loose. And there you go, doors open, see you later. Unfortunately, we've seen that before. And, you know, Lepisto is doing a good job. I'm sure he's frustrated with himself at the moment. But as we're watching on board here, you can see he's got some understeer and then just snaps oversteer. Unfortunately, he doesn't hit anything, but is able to keep going.
So does Lepisto have anything in reserve? Was that as fast as he could go? Can he run him back down? But meanwhile, Belucas
had another incident here coming off the corner onto that sharp left-hander coming on the back straightaway, and it really looks like he just gets in a little hot. Rear starts sliding, and he floors it and hits the curb, and away we go. And unfortunately, this time he does slightly hit the barrier. He's got to back up, and he's going to lose some spots. I wonder if Steve Sarlis can get by him.
No, Steve Sarlis has actually pressure from behind from Charles-Eric Lemelin to worry about for 12th place. What it does mean is that for 10th and 11th has pretty much sealed that position down for John Stevens right now. Interesting to note, Gernot Prix still only holding about a 1 second lead over Lepisto with a lap to go.
Yeah, I don't see Gernot giving up the spot. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but that battle for 12th and 13th that we were just talking about is important in that team championship because Steve is teammates to Gernot in the Ferrari team, but Lemelin's going to make a move here going into the last corner. He's going to get that pass done. And, yep, there we go. Lemelin gets by Steve Sarlis for the 12th spot on starting the last lap. Or 2 laps ago, sorry.
Yeah, well, here goes Steve Sarlis. Boy, he must be running a lot less downforce because he had a real nice run down the inside there of Charles-Eric Lemelin. Get quite close together as those two battle. That allows Robert Simpkins in 14th to close in on them a bit. Meanwhile, the final lap is underway. Gernot Prix just crossed the line. The gap between him and Lepisto, 1.2 seconds at the start-finish line.
Yeah, I like I say, I don't see Gernot making a mistake on this final lap, giving that position up. Everywhere else, everybody's kind of separated out a little bit. Not much going on in the top 6. David Rolfe has caught up to Barry West, so he's putting a little bit of pressure on him. So we'll see how that goes here. John Stevens has been able to get back up to 10th spot, but I'm sure he's going to be disappointed since he started in the 7th position.
Yeah, still a 3-way battle for 12th place going on. Also a 3-way battle at the tail end of the field for 18th back to 20th. Sandro Beccari, Andrew Rosenfeld and Francois Gagne, who have had a little bit of air excitement out there out the back. But up front, it's definitely been exciting for Gernot Prix and Antti Lepisto, but it looks like it's over now because Prix is about to enter the final sector, the last complex of turns here, holding a 2-second lead over Lepisto. And in a race where Lepisto, even though it looks like Prix has pretty much sealed the deal on this championship anyway, Lepisto could have made up a little bit of ground today with a victory. It's not going to happen. Just a small mistake with a couple laps left to go. Prix sealed the opportunities, been able to pull away from him over these last couple laps, and now just 2 turns left for the #1 Ferrari. Coming around the final turn here at the Circuit of the Americas, Gernot Prix is going to cross the line and take a victory here in Austin.
And Lepisto is going to come up behind him. I'm sure he's going to be disappointed with that. Got a great start, got the lead, and led pretty much 20 out of the 22 laps into that little mistake. QC Clap coming around that final sector as well. Really quiet third place, but great job to him. Started third, finishing third, so good job. Same thing with Adam Frazier, started fourth, finishing fourth, did a good job. Suarez coming down near the end as well. Started sixth, finished fifth, had some issues with De Jong early on, but held tight.
Yeah, it looks like fifth and sixth might be safely wrapped up. I'm not sure we can say the same about seventh. Barry West still has a lot of pressure from behind from David Roth as they enter the last couple of turns. He has a slight edge over the number 15 car. He clips that apex, now just one more to worry about. And it looks like Barry West is going to pick off another top 10 here today at COTA.
Yeah, great job to him, and Dave Roth chased him down, but wasn't able quite to get that. But good finish for David, too. Started 11th, finished 8th. Running the 15 car as well, so that'll be good points for him.
What about Ferrari? Can they pick up another point here with Steve Salis not too far behind Charles-Eric Lemelin for 12th place? I don't think it's going to happen. I think that number 13 has the edge, and sure enough, Charles-Eric Lemelin comes around, gets 12th. Salis has to settle for 13th.
And we didn't really mention Robert Simpkins much, but he was not too far behind this battle as well, so he comes across in 14th spot. And then we'll get into, basically after that, is our cars that are a lap down that have completed the race.
So we are going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back to talk to a few other drivers and give you a full race rundown here on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Circuit of the Americas, where we just witnessed 22 laps of classic F1 action here with the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. When all was said and done, it was Gernot Frisch taking home the win by over 3 seconds over Antti Lepisto. Number 1 and 2 cars finished in positions 1 and 2, exactly where they started. Likewise for QC Clap in the number 3 car, rounding up the podium in 3rd place. Adam Frazier, a solid performance, started 4th, finished 4th in the number 10 car, ahead of Pablo Suarez and Michael De Jong, who had a bit of contact early on, but still finished 6th. Barry West in the number 7 gets 7th. David Rofe, he was a hard charger, starting 11th and finishing 8th at the end of the day in the number 15 car, ahead of Jean-Francois Matt and John Stevens, who was involved in a bit of early contact with Barry West and had to settle for 10th. Yeah,
coming in 11th is Stefan Beluca, who got a really good battle right in that area. Had some mistakes on his own, so good job getting to the end. Charles-Eric Lemelin, same thing. Those guys were battling hard the whole race, had a couple of mistakes, was able to get back by Steve Sarlis to finish 12th. Steve Sarlis comes in 13th. Pretty quiet race, but gets some points there for his team. Robert Simkins, 14th. And then the cars that are a lap down, Kurt Bennett, 15th. Johnny Bell, 16th. Glenn Corrigan, 17th. Sandro Beccari in 18th. Andrew Rosenfeld, 19th. Francois Gagne, 20th. And then Russell Hamilton, Daniel Banker, and Mark Pickford were not able to finish here.
And the driver in front when all was said and done was Gurno Frisch. Gurno, congrats on your victory. I saw you in the chat after the race saying that was one of your tougher ones.
Hi, Sam. Yeah, it was a really tough race because I had to push all the way and just could hope for Ante to make a mistake. And yeah, in the end, I didn't even believe anymore that he would make a mistake. And it was a rather huge one, so that gave me a chance to overtake him.
It looked like, though, you were able to close up on him a lot down that back straight. Were you, in your mind, were you running less downforce than him? That was your best passing opportunity on the track?
Not even sure. I think I was running a little bit less downforce. We had another race this week on Thursday where Ante beat me quite easily, and I saw that he was running more downforce, so I added some wings for that one. It helped me with my lap times, but yeah, of course, overtaking is really hard, even if you're a little bit fast on the straight.
Now we keep looking at this battle between Ferrari and Ligier throughout the championship. Ligier has grown that points lead coming into this week, and they had another solid performance here tonight. Is it going to be tough for your Ferrari team to edge them out for the title?
And not only tough, I think the championship is pretty much decided right now. The Ligier guys, Ante and Pablo, are super quick. They make good points every single week, and yeah, it's really hard to challenge them this season.
Well, we've definitely enjoyed watching you put up that challenge, and on the driver's side, though, likewise, Gurno, it looks like you've pretty much wrapped up the Drivers' Championship over there. So we congratulate you on that, things have been going really well, and we look forward to seeing if you can put one more victory in the tally column next week at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll try to do so. Hope to see you next week. Congrats to Ante for a great race in this one, and to Quinten as well. Bye-bye.
That was our race winner, Gurno Frisch. Shanti Lepisto is debriefing with his team. So, Richie, you've caught up with the third driver on the podium, QC Clapp.
Yeah, QC, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hi, guys.
Yeah, very good job out there. The 3 was your magic number. Your number 3 car started third, finished third. A little bit of a quiet race for you, but sometimes those aren't easy because it's easy to kind of get distracted. So just give us a little recap of how it went.
Well, it may have looked easy, but Adam Fraser, he was. I think we were just as quick, and till we hit the back markers. We were within 1 second. I maybe pulled it to 2 seconds, but that came from my toes. I really felt so uncomfortable in the car, and he forced me to drive on the limit. So it was actually a very nice race.
Yeah, and one thing we talked about at the beginning is that with that 17 incident limit, this place is really easy to go over that. Did you ever have any problems with maybe getting too close to that 17 number?
I don't really know how close I got, but I saw a bit too many X1s. It's really at some points it's unpredictable because you want to be as close as possible, and yeah, sometimes you go over. So the trick is not to do that more than 17 times. But yeah, it's a tricky track for that.
Yeah, it does make it a little bit frustrating sometimes because you want to get that speed and sometimes just a little bit too far off the corner, and you get that. But hey, great job out there. Good talking to you. Are we going to see you at the next one next week?
Oh, definitely. Road Atlanta, beautiful track. And thanks to you guys for the broadcast. It's always a pleasure to watch it after the race. So yeah, enjoy your evening, and thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, looking forward to it, seeing you next week. And Sam?
Yeah, one more interview here, and quite a reliable interview recently with some solid top 10 performances out there. Another one tonight, Barry West.
Yeah, I got my microphone working. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you loud and clear.
Good. Yeah, I look coming together with John in the S's, which was interesting. I don't know. I think probably a bit of a racing incident. I gave him the apex to the first left, and then he gave me the apex to the next right, and then I was in front, and I was trying to make sure I left room, but I had the speed to carry through, and I think he went for the apex just as I was making it. So we came together, but one of those things. I'm glad to see you finish. And then I was behind David caught up then, and I didn't fight too much into that one because I didn't know if I'd had any damage, so I just wanted to check the car out for a lap too. And it seemed okay. And then I was behind David and, bothering him, but I just couldn't get past him. I tried a few times, but too risky. So he kindly let me past in the end. And then I managed to pull a gap. And then made a few scrappy laps, and he caught back up. And then it was quite exciting at the end. He was like about 0.5 behind me, I think, at the line. I had 2 or 3 seconds on him. I was catching up Pablo and, there's Pablo in front, I know, and Michael. And then I made a few scrappy laps, I think. I don't know whether the tyres got too hot or what, but yeah, it was an interesting race.
Your finishes towards the end of the season have certainly been more consistent than what they were at the start of a year. Do you feel, with just one race left to go this season in Road Atlanta, do you feel... Are you already starting to set loftier goals for yourself next season, or considering a move up to a different class, or what are the goals for Barry West heading forward?
Well, Mark Pickford and myself were in the same team. We've been in the same team for the last 3 years, but we've not been consistently making the races. And you only drop 2 in the team. So when I'm there, he's not, and when he's there, I'm not. So hopefully next year we can get decent run of weekends together so that we can actually get some points in. I think we could have finished 3rd in the teams this year, but second probably is a realistic goal if we do the races next year. And for me, I know it's a quiet season, but I'm not usually this high, but I think a top 10, top 12 in the championship next year would be a goal to aim for, I suppose. But just becoming more consistent, and it seems to be paying off.
Absolutely. Well, we got one race left this season. You're going to be aiming for another top 10 or maybe even a top 5 next week at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, I do love Road Atlanta. I'm not too keen on the COTA, but yeah, Road Atlanta is a lovely track. I'd love to drive it in real life. It's such a challenge. That blind turn 2, is a real challenge. But yeah, I do love Road Atlanta. Looking forward to that one. All
right, we look forward to seeing you there, Barry, and thanks for coming to talk to us.
Okay, great. See you guys.
Have a good Sunday. Richie, it's no secret here for people who follow GSRC that I injured my ankle doing something stupid one day. And you know how I learned to walk again? I actually got to go to Road Atlanta and walk around the circuit without crutches. Boy, that was a bit of an exercise. A lot of hills around there.
Yeah, that is a tough place to go start working that out. It is a beautiful track in real life, and it's probably very similar to maybe what you see at Brands Hatch as far as the up and down like that. So should be a good race next week.
Yes, it sounds like Gernot Frisch has got the Drivers' Championship wrapped up, and Ligier pretty much has the Team Championship wrapped up. That doesn't mean we still got some scores left to settle, and we'll get to settle them all with 33 laps of more classic Lotus 79 action next week at Road Atlanta. Before then, we've got a few people we'd like to thank before we say goodbye to you all and send you on your ways, including the organisers and the competitors from the Lotus 79 Classic Team Championship for choosing GSRC, coming out here and putting on the show for us today. We would also like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts, and you can see them all listed on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric at Coleman and June Lalonde to provide us with our great music. See the screen for to get a hold of more of their work. Thanks to the team today, Richie, Amjad and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.